Let me ask you something very honestly. If someone could secretly record your daily habits for 1 week and then show you the result of your life 5 years later, would you be excited or scared? Stay with me till the end, because the last few lessons can quietly change the direction of your entire life. Many of us feel confused today. We have dreams, but we don't feel discipline. We have ambition, but we feel tired. We want success, peace, happiness, yet somehow our days look very ordinary. And the problem is not lack of talent. The problem is not lack of opportunity. The problem is something much smaller and much more powerful. It's what you do every single day, especially when no one is watching, your habits. And today, I want to walk with you through 7 life lessons, not as rules, not as pressure, but as a gentle inner journey. Because once you understand this, you will never look at your daily routine the same way again. Most people believe life changes in loud moments. They think transformation happens on big days. The day you get a degree, the day you get a job, the day you get married, the day something dramatic happens. But life doesn't actually change in those moments. Those moments only reveal what has already been happening quietly for years. Life is really built in invisible moments. Moments no one claps for. Moments no one posts about. Moments when no one is watching. It's the moment you wake up and decide whether to snooze or stand up. It's the moment you feel tired, but still choose to show up. It's the moment you want comfort, but choose discipline instead. These moments look small, so small that we dismiss them. We tell ourselves, it's okay, just today. But life is not shaped by what you do occasionally. Life is shaped by what you do consistently. A single drop of water seems harmless, but drop by drop it can carve a stone. Habits work the same way. One lazy day doesn't ruin your future. One disciplined day doesn't change your life, but repeated daily, they silently decide who you become. That's why habits are dangerous when they are bad and magical when they are good. Most people don't fail suddenly. They drift slowly, comfortably, unnoticeably. They don't wake up one day and say, I will ruin my life. They simply keep choosing ease over effort, distraction over focus, excuses over responsibility. And years later, they look back and wonder, how did I end up here? The truth is uncomfortable but powerful. Your current life is a result of your past habits, and your future life is being built by today's habits. Every day you are laying bricks, you don't see the building yet, but it's rising. Whether you are conscious of it or not, you're constructing something, either a strong future or a fragile one. And here's the most important part. Habits don't just shape your results, they shape your identity. If you repeatedly avoid discomfort, your mind learns fear. If you repeatedly delay action, your mind learns procrastination. If you repeatedly show discipline, your mind learns strength. Over time, you stop saying I try and start saying I am disciplined. I am lazy, I am focused, I am distracted. That identity doesn't come from one big decision. It comes from thousands of tiny choices that felt insignificant at the time. This is why awareness is so important. When you become aware of your habits, you regain control over your life. Without awareness, habits run on autopilot, and autopilot doesn't care about your dreams. Many people have beautiful dreams but ugly daily routines, and they wonder why life feels stuck. Dreams don't come true because of intention alone. They come true because habits quietly support them every single day. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. So instead of asking, what do I want to become? Ask, what am I doing every day? Because your habits are not just actions, they are directions. If you walk a little in the wrong direction every day, you may not notice today. But after years, you'll be very far from where you wanted to be. The good news is this: you don't need to change your whole life today. Life doesn't demand drama, it demands honesty. One small habit done with sincerity is more powerful than 10 big plans never followed. If you fix the small things, the big things begin to align naturally. If you respect the invisible moments, life rewards you with visible growth. And this is just the beginning, because once you understand how habits truly work, you'll realize why motivation alone is never enough. Most people are waiting for motivation. They tell themselves, once I feel inspired, I'll start. They watch videos, read quotes, listen to talks, and for a few moments they feel a spark. But after some time, that feeling fades and life goes back to the same routine. This is where many sincere people get stuck. Not because they lack desire, but because they misunderstand how change really happens. Motivation is emotional. Habits are structural. Motivation depends on mood, energy, and circumstances. Habits don't ask how you feel. They simply ask what is scheduled. Think about it honestly. On days when you feel tired, confused, or low, do you still brush your teeth? Yes. Not because you are motivated, but because it is a habit. It has become part of your identity and routine. That is the power of habits. They carry you forward even when motivation disappears. Motivation is like a push. Habits are like a system. A push can start movement, but only a system can sustain it. This is why intelligent, talented people sometimes struggle. They depend too much on feeling good before taking action. But life doesn't always provide perfect conditions. There will be days when you are tired, bored, or emotionally drained. If your progress depends on motivation, those days will defeat you. But if your progress depends on habits, those days still move you forward, quietly, steadily. Successful people don't have more motivation than others. They have better routines. They don't decide every day whether to work, focus, or grow. They've already decided once and turn that decision into a habit. This saves mental energy. When something becomes a habit, it no longer requires inner debate. There is no drama. There is no negotiation with the mind. Action happens automatically. This is very important to understand because the mind is clever. When motivation fades, the mind starts offering excuses that sound logical. I'll start tomorrow. Today is not the right day. On E-day won't matter. Habits protect you from these excuses. They create a default behavior that doesn't depend on emotions. This is why discipline is not harsh. Discipline is compassionate. It protects your future self from your present weaknesses. Many people think discipline means punishment, but real discipline is actually self-care. It is you saying, I won't let temporary emotions destroy long-term dreams. When you build habits, you remove pressure. You stop expecting yourself to feel inspired every day. You accept that some days will feel heavy, and you design your life accordingly. Even a small habit done consistently creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds identity. And identity makes habits stronger. This is a beautiful cycle, but the opposite is also true. When you depend on motivation, inconsistency becomes normal. You start and stop. You feel guilty. You lose trust in yourself. Over time, you stop believing in your own promises. That loss of self-trust hurts more than failure. Habits rebuild that trust slowly. Every time you follow through, even on a small commitment, you send a message to yourself, I can rely on me. That message changes everything. So don't wait for motivation. Use motivation to start, but don't depend on it to continue. Let habits take over. Design your day. Fix your sleep. Schedule your effort. Simplify your goals. Reduce decisions. When life is structured, growth becomes natural. And once habits are in place, something very interesting happens. Your actions start shaping your mind in ways you never expected. That's what we'll explore next. Because what you repeat doesn't just affect your routine, it rewires who you are becoming. Every action you repeat leaves an imprint on your mind. The mind is not shaped by logic alone, it is shaped by experience. And repetition is the strongest teacher the mind knows. This is why habits are so powerful. They don't just change what you do, they change how you think, how you feel, and eventually how you see yourself. If you repeatedly worry, your mind learns fear. If you repeatedly complain, your mind learns dissatisfaction. If you repeatedly avoid discomfort, your mind learns weakness. Not because you are incapable, but because the mind adapts to whatever you practice. The mind is very obedient. It doesn't judge whether a habit is good or bad. It simply strengthens whatever pathway you use the most. This is why a single negative habit, repeated daily, can quietly dominate your emotional life. And this is also why a simple positive habit done sincerely can slowly heal years of inner chaos. Every time you act, you are reinforcing a message. That message sounds like, "This is who I am." Over time, the mind stops questioning it. You don't wake up one day believing you are disciplined or lazy. That belief is trained into you through repetition. This is why change feels difficult at first. In the beginning, new habits feel uncomfortable because you're asking the mind to walk on a new path. Old habits feel easy because the mind has walked that road many times before. But here's the hopeful part. The mind doesn't resist change forever, it resists unfamiliarity. Once repetition begins, resistance fades. What you repeat becomes familiar. What becomes familiar becomes comfortable. What becomes comfortable becomes your identity. This is why awareness is crucial. Without awareness, habits form randomly. With awareness, habits are chosen intentionally. Most people live on autopilot. They repeat behaviors without realizing what they are reinforcing. They scroll when bored, complain when stressed, avoid when afraid. Slowly, these patterns harden into personality traits. Then one day they say, "This is just how I am." But that's not true. That is just what they practiced. Identity is not destiny. Identity is habit reinforced over time. The moment you realize this, you reclaim power. You stop feeling trapped by who you think you are. You realize you are always becoming someone, whether consciously or unconsciously. And this is why even small changes matter. When you choose to read instead of scroll, to listen instead of react, to pause instead of panic, you are casting a vote for a new version of yourself. One vote won't change the election, but daily voting will. Your future self is being shaped quietly right now, not by big events, but by repeated actions. This also explains why inner talk matters. The habits you practice mentally are just as powerful as physical ones. If you repeat self-criticism, the mind learns insecurity. If you repeat gratitude, the mind learns peace. Thoughts repeated become beliefs. Beliefs repeated become behavior. Behavior repeated becomes character. This chain is subtle but unbreakable. That's why discipline is not about controlling life. It's about training the mind gently, consistently, patiently. And remember, habits don't need to be extreme to be effective. They need to be consistent. 10 minutes of focus daily is better than 1 day of exhaustion and 6 days of guilt. One kind word, daily, is better than one emotional apology once a year. Your mind trusts what you do regularly, not what you promise occasionally. So be careful what you repeat, because repetition is a declaration of belief. And once you understand this, you'll realize why willpower alone is not enough. Because your surroundings quietly influence what you repeat every day. That's where we're going next. Because the environment often decides your habits before you even realize it. We often believe that if our willpower were stronger, our life would improve. We tell ourselves, I just need more self-control. But willpower is not infinite. It gets tired, it gets distracted, and it weakens under stress. The environment, on the other hand, works quietly and continuously. Most of your daily behavior is not a result of conscious decision. It is a response to what is around you. The food you eat, the words you speak, the emotions you feel, and the thoughts you think are heavily influenced by your surroundings. If your phone is the first thing you see in the morning, distraction becomes your habit. If negative conversations surround you, complaining feels normal. If chaos fills your space, clarity becomes difficult. This is not because you are weak, it is because you are human. The environment always wins against intention in the long run. That's why people who truly change their lives don't just rely on determination, they redesign their environment. They make good habits easier and bad habits harder. If you want to read more, keep books visible. If you want to eat better, keep healthy food accessible. If you want peace, reduce noise and unnecessary stimulation. Small environmental changes create big behavioral shifts without inner struggle. Think about it. When you enter a temple, library, or quiet place, your behavior automatically changes. You speak softly, you become more mindful. That's the power of environment. Now imagine creating that same supportive environment in your daily life. Many people fail not because they lack discipline, but because they surround themselves with constant temptation and expect themselves to resist forever. That's exhausting. True wisdom is not about fighting temptation. It is about avoiding unnecessary battles. This also applies to people. If you spend time with individuals who normalize laziness, gossip, and negativity, your standards slowly drop. If you surround yourself with people who value growth, honesty, and effort, those qualities begin to feel natural. You don't become like the people you admire. You become like the people you tolerate. Environment includes physical space, digital space, emotional space, and social space. What you consume daily consumes you eventually. If your digital environment is full of comparison, outrage, and distraction, inner peace becomes difficult. If your environment is calm, purposeful, and uplifting, discipline becomes easier. This is why change feels so hard when environment stays the same. You try to build new habits in old surroundings. It's like trying to stay clean in a muddy place. When you change your environment, habits begin to shift automatically. You don't need to force discipline, you simply need to remove friction. This is not weakness, this is intelligence. And here's something important: you don't need a perfect environment, you need a supportive one. One small adjustment can change everything. Moving your phone away at night, cleaning your workspace, choosing one person who inspires you, limiting exposure to negativity. These are not dramatic actions, but they are powerful. When environment supports growth, discipline feels lighter, progress feels natural, and self-respect slowly grows because you are no longer fighting yourself every day. And that leads us to the next insight. Because once habits become easier to follow, something deeper begins to form inside you. A quiet sense of confidence that changes how you see yourself. That inner confidence is not earned. It is built slowly. And it begins with small acts of discipline. Many people believe confidence comes from success. They think once they achieve something big, they will finally feel good about themselves. But this is not how confidence is truly built. Confidence is not born from achievements. Confidence is born from integrity with yourself. Every time you say you will do something and then you do it, Even when it is uncomfortable, a quiet strength is formed inside you. No one sees it, no one applauds it. But your inner voice notices, and that inner voice matters more than any external opinion. Self-respect grows when your actions align with your words, when you wake up when you said you would, when you finish what you started, when you choose discipline over convenience. These are small acts, but they carry deep meaning. They tell your mind, I can trust myself. And trust in yourself is the foundation of courage, focus, and resilience. On the other hand, every time you break a promise to yourself, even a small one, something inside weakens. You start doubting your ability to follow through. Over time, this creates a quiet insecurity that no amount of external validation can fix. This is why people often feel stuck, not because they are incapable, but because they no longer believe in their own consistency. Discipline repairs that belief slowly. It doesn't require dramatic changes, it requires sincerity. Doing small things properly, even when no one is watching. A person who keeps small promises develops a strong inner spine. A person who constantly negotiates with their own commitments slowly loses self-respect. This is not about being harsh, it's about being honorable. Est. True discipline is not rigid, it is compassionate. It understands that you won't be perfect, but it also refuses to accept laziness disguised as comfort. Every small disciplined action is like a deposit in your self-respect account. Over time, the balance grows, and when challenges come, that inner wealth supports you. This is why people with discipline appear calm under pressure. They have trained themselves to act despite discomfort. Their confidence does not depend on circumstances, it depends on character, and character is built quietly. This also explains why shortcuts feel attractive but leave us empty. They give quick results without effort, but they don't build self-respect. They don't strengthen identity. Long-term fulfillment comes from knowing you earned your growth honestly. When you live with discipline, you stop seeking motivation from outside. You stop comparing your journey with others. You become anchored within yourself. And this is powerful. Because when self-respect grows, discipline becomes easier. You don't want to disappoint yourself anymore. You begin to act not out of fear, but out of pride in who you are becoming. This inner shift changes everything. Goals feel more meaningful. Effort feels purposeful. Even rest feels deserved. But this growth needs rhythm. It needs structure. It needs boundaries. And this brings us to a very practical but deeply spiritual insight. The way you begin and end your day quietly shapes the direction of your life. Because mornings and nights are not just time slots. They are programming windows for your mind. How you begin your day and how you end it may seem ordinary. But these two moments quietly decide the quality of your entire life. The mind is most impressionable in the early morning and late at night. In these moments, it absorbs information without resistance. Whatever you feed it then becomes the emotional tone for your day and the mental pattern for your future. If your morning begins in hurry, noise, and reaction, your mind stays restless. You may work the whole day, but you will feel unsettled. If your night ends in scrolling, comparison, and overthinking, your subconscious carries that chaos into your sleep. This is why many people feel tired even after resting. The body slept, but the mind never relaxed. Peaceful habits create peaceful futures. Morning is not just about waking up, it is about how consciously you enter the day. When you begin your day with awareness, even for a few minutes, you reclaim your attention before the world demands it. A calm morning does not require long rituals, it requires intention. A moment of silence, a breath of gratitude, a reminder of purpose. When the mind starts the day centered, decisions become clearer, reactions become softer, focus becomes natural. Night is equally important. How you end the day decides how your mind heals. If you go to bed carrying unresolved stress, regret, or stimulation, your mind stays active even while sleeping. Ending the day with reflection, gratitude, or prayer allows the mind to release the weight it has been carrying. This is not about spirituality as a concept. It is about mental hygiene. Just as you clean your body daily, the mind also needs closure. A peaceful night is a gift you give your future self. Many people underestimate this. They think success is built only during working hours. But the truth is, success is supported by how well you rest, reset, and recharge. When mornings and nights are aligned, life gains rhythm, and rhythm creates stability. Stability creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. This is why disciplined people protect their mornings and nights. They don't treat them casually. They understand that these moments are sacred. And when you respect these windows, something beautiful happens. You stop living reactively. You start living intentionally. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means life becomes conscious. Even difficult days feel manageable because your inner state is steady. But here is something even deeper. When habits become conscious, they turn into a form of devotion. Ordinary actions begin to feel meaningful. Eating, working, resting, everything becomes part of a larger awareness. And this leads us to the final realization, the one most people ignore, but the one that truly transforms everything. Because habits are not just tools for success, they are expressions of who you are becoming. That final understanding changes the way you live entirely. When life is lived unconsciously, habits feel mechanical. They feel like routines we follow just to survive the day. But when awareness enters, something subtle yet powerful changes. Habits stop being actions. They become expressions of consciousness. Every habit is a choice, not just of behavior but of direction. Each repeated action is quietly moving you closer to awareness or deeper into distraction, closer to responsibility or further into avoidance, closer to growth or comfort. This is why habits are deeply spiritual, even if they look ordinary. Spirituality is not limited to meditation, prayer, or silence. Spirituality is how consciously you live your everyday life. It is the awareness you bring to eating, speaking, listening, working, and resting. When habits are unconscious, life feels rushed and fragmented. When habits are conscious, life begins to flow. Your habits become your silent prayers. They reflect what you truly value, not what you say you value, but what you practice daily. If you practice gratitude, life feels abundant. If you practice honesty, the heart feels light. If you practice discipline, the mind feels strong. These feelings don't come from outside success. They arise from inner alignment. Many people chase happiness through achievements, but happiness is not a reward at the end of life. It is a byproduct of living consciously. When your habits are aligned with your values, inner conflict disappears. You stop fighting yourself. You stop feeling guilty for who you are not. You start appreciating who you are becoming. This alignment creates peace. And peace is not passive. Peace is powerful. It allows you to respond instead of react. It allows you to act from clarity instead of fear. This is why truly disciplined people appear calm. Their habits support their inner world. Their daily actions reinforce their spiritual grounding. They don't depend on external validation. Their fulfillment comes from living rightly, sincerely, and responsibly. This doesn't mean they never struggle. It means their struggles have meaning. Every habit you practice daily is shaping your character. Character decides how you handle success, failure, relationships, and uncertainty. A person with conscious habits lives with dignity. Even in ordinary moments, there is grace. This is the highest form of success. Not achievement without peace, but progress with awareness. When you understand this, life stops feeling like a race. It starts feeling like a journey where growth is steady, joy is simple, and purpose is clear. And here is the most empowering truth. You don't need to change your entire life today. You only need to bring awareness to what you repeat. One conscious habit can realign your entire future. One sincere effort, done daily, can transform your inner world. Your future is not decided by luck. It is decided by consciousness in action. When discipline becomes devotion, effort becomes joy. When habits become sacred, life becomes meaningful. So start gently, start honestly, start today, because the quality of your life is not decided by what you achieve once. It is decided by what you practice daily. And when you live consciously, gratefully, and responsibly, success naturally follows. Not as a destination, but as a way of being. At the end of the day, remember this one simple truth. Life does not change when circumstances change. Life changes when consciousness changes. When you place faith above fear, discipline above comfort, and awareness above impulse, life begins to cooperate with you. You don't need to control the whole future. You only need to be faithful to the next right habit. God does not bless intentions alone. He blesses sincere effort repeated with patience. When you show up every day with honesty, even in small ways, grace starts working silently in your favor. So walk gently, but walk consistently. Trust the process, trust the timing, and trust that every conscious step is being counted. Because when you live with faith and responsibility, what is meant for you will never miss you. And when you put God first, fear naturally takes the last place. Start today, not perfectly but sincerely. Your future will thank you for it.